Hello friends, welcome to the next video of the video series Demystifying Millennials. Thank you first of all for the excellent response to my first video. This was one of the reasons that I'm doing the series. It encourages you always. But there is one more reason why I'm doing this because many millennials, when I posted the first video, they asked me this question. And one millennial asked me in particular the question which went on like this. We earn more but actually save less than them means the previous generation. The sense of security and stability is a huge concern for us. Maybe that we fear long-term financial commitments. I still don't know why that sense of security and stability has vanished from our lives. Okay, so the question is, why a sense of security and stability continues to elude the millennials? To answer this question, let me read out two small anecdotes from my book. Now, remember, these are real stories, these are not fictitious stories. Let me read out the first anecdote. The first anecdote goes like this. Saurabh, a millennial, was hired by a service based IT company around 2007. He had been performing consistently well, but after 18 months into the project, one fine day, he was simply laid off. This was 2009. The recession had hit, and the foreign client was facing rough weather. Saurabh was summoned by HR, who told him that his contract could not be renewed and he was free to look for other opportunities. The company simply didn't have funds to pay him. Saurabh was jobless for 5 months. Let me read you one more incident. Indulekha, the name changed, but the story is real, has now been working in the same company for 11 years. She works for an Indian IT major and is doing relatively well. But her going has not been that smooth always. During 2012, she was working on a project that was for a US client. The client was a major oil company. Indu was working in that project for 2 years. The project had 4 offshore resources that included Indu and 2 on-site resources. Around the same time, oil prices dropped sharply, and this had a direct impact on the project. As a result, although the on-site resources were retained, 3 out of the 4 offshore resources were benched. Indu, to her shock and dismay, found herself among those 3 resources. Ironically, 1 week before Indu was benched, she had received an appreciation mail from the client for her work. So Indu had received an appreciation mail 1 week before she was benched. So these are not untrue stories. These are real stories, and this is not a story of one millennial, two millennials. These are pretty much across the board. So long and short of this is that career wise, this generation is far more braver than the previous generation or even my generation, because they are not stereotyped into one or two careers. They are willing to experiment, willing to try new things. So it will not be wrong to say that career wise they are very secure, but job security continues to elude them forever. They have seen institutions, organizations disappearing in a matter of day. For instance, takes few years back the case of Lehman Brothers, 100-year-old company which closed in just a matter of days. And very recently, if you see from the Indian scenario, the sudden crisis in the auto sector led to so many job losses, most of them being of millennials. And then internationally, Thomas Cook, for instance, closed down suddenly. Nobody thought Thomas Cook would close down, but Thomas Cook closed down. Job losses once again. So, making the point, career-wise, this generation is quite secure, quite confident. However, unfortunately, job security is a major concern. This I call as the career paradox. One of the paradoxes that I have discussed in my book and have found out in my research. And now what can we do about it? Obviously, this is the reason why the jobs, the sense of security or stability continues to elude the millennials. And what can we do about it? Okay, what can employers do about it? Probably, some, ways of reducing this sense of insecurity might help. Now, this doesn't mean guaranteeing them job forever, which is not possible in today's scenario. However, guaranteeing them certain aspects related to their growth, connected to their performance is possible. For instance, one of the companies came up with a concept of career passports. So those millennials who performed really well and got outstanding scores, they were given career passports by the company. What that career passport guarantee you? The career passport guaranteed you two things. One, definitive upward mobility in the next 2 years, and second, a growth in terms of compensation as well as uh, competency wise in terms of organization investing in the development of the person. And the question is whether millennials can do anything about this. Okay, whether you like it or don't like it, this is the kind of life that millennials have to live with. They cannot do anything except to live with these paradoxes because these are woven into the times that they live. However, I think my advice to millennials would be that the only way that you can reduce this sense of insecurity and instability and bring in a little bit of stability in your lives is to continuously learn. I think that's the only way that you can grow and way you can keep up with the times. The continuously investing in your own learning, continuously learning new things, new technologies would help you to remain more or less immune to the volatility of the times or to the uncertainty of the times, and deal with these complex situations and feel more stable and secure unto yourself. Thank you very much.